Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to do a quick overview of how I would recommend to use our resources to set up your lab notebook to write our first lab report on the density lab, and also how to use Google Classroom to write your discussion, which is a part of your lab report. And going over it in a video is just going to allow you to move at your own pace. Now what you need to be doing is on your Chromebook here, you need to open up a few things. First thing, you need to have this handout, the density lab, in front of you, next to you on the computer. It's the same one we've been using. You're going to want to flip to the third page that says Density Lab Report Rubric. You're also going to want to, in a second, pause the video and open up two things. Number one, you're going to want to go to Google Classroom. And when you open up Google Classroom, you should see something that says Density Lab Discussion. Go ahead and click on that to open up the Density Lab Discussion outline. And you're also going to want to open up the class calendar. So if you bookmarked it, you can just go to your bookmark here like I have, and you can open up the calendar for our course. Or if you don't have it bookmarked, you can type in lpsPumaChemistry.com, which takes you to the class website. And then under where it says CP Chemistry, you can click on Calendar. Or you can just scroll down to the bottom where it says CP Chemistry Calendar here. But I recommend going to CP Chemistry Calendar, then clicking on the link for the calendar here, and it'll open up the same thing and bookmark this page. You're then going to want to scroll down to Tuesday's date, which was September 22nd, right here where it says Lab Report Outline. And you're going to want to click on this document and open this up. So again, just to be clear, what you should have is the lab handout in front of you, the classroom, Google Classroom assignment, and this document open. So your lab reports are always done in your lab notebook. The only thing that I grade is in your lab notebook, which you will submit to me next week. However, in your lab notebook, you need to have a bunch of information, and that information is outlined here in the format. The first thing you need to have is a title, which is a title at the top of the page that describes the lab in a few words or maybe just a word. Then your purpose, procedure, materials list, data table, and discussion. How should you actually set this up in your lab notebook? So that's what I've given you here on the class calendar. This is an outline of what you can do in your lab notebook, again, where the graph paper is. Notice at the top here, I have made the title, Density Lab. And today's date for you guys, 9/23/15. So I can check this part off, title, okay? Next, I need to have a purpose, which is a sentence or two that describes the lab. So on the left side here, I've drawn a line all the way down to separate and make this neat. I wrote purpose, and I have a sentence starter for you. The purpose of this lab was to, and I wrote in your own words. Anyone can just copy something off of a handout. I don't want you to waste your time copying. I want you to think about this. So you're going to need to think about what we actually did in the lab, think about and read what you've read in the procedure and whatnot, and turn that into a purpose. Why did we do this lab? What was the point of doing it? What were we trying to figure out? Then you're going to put, after you've done your purpose, okay, you're going to write your procedure. Your procedure is a step-by-step list of the methods used to set up the experiment and gather data. Anyone who reads your report should be able to repeat the experiment by reading your procedure. So this needs to be detailed. It had two parts, this lab. Part A, where you got the density of the liquids, Coke, Diet Coke, and water. Part B, when you got the density of your solid. Notice I wrote in your own words, do not directly copy from the handout. Again, any monkey, literally a monkey, can look at something and write it down and copy it. I don't want you to do that. I want you to summarize and think in your own words about what happened. So for example, part A, step 1. In the lab it said, determine the mass of a clean, dry, empty 100 milliliter graduated cylinder using the bounds. Record this value in the table below. Don't waste your time copying that word for word. Instead, for example, what I did is I just wrote, number 1, weighed 100 milliliter graduated cylinder. Cool. Step 2, on and on until you complete the procedure for part A. You'll then do the same thing for part B, all in your own words. After that, after the procedure, if we go back to this handout here, after the procedure comes your materials. This is just a list of the materials used in the lab. So graduate cylinder, object, Diet Coke, Coke. Keep going until you've listed everything we use in the lab. The data table. Use the exact table from the lab handout and fill in the boxes. So you have two options here. Okay, you can either draw your tables, both from part A and from part B. You need both this one from part B and this one from part A. Or if you prefer, you can just cut this out from your lab handout and tape it directly or glue it directly into your lab notebook. It's whatever you prefer. Just make sure all numbers have units and it has all the data in it. Next is the analysis. The analysis are just the analysis questions. You do not need to write the question, just show your work clearly and answer all the questions there. And finally is the discussion. Now this is the meat of your lab report. The discussion is worth 75% of your grade for every lab report. It's going to be 3 paragraphs. This is where you need to open up your Google Classroom document, because here is where you are going to write your discussion. Your discussion will be 3 paragraphs. Number 1 will be an introduction paragraph where you cover your purpose and your procedure. Here you're summarizing again in your own words and you're using some of these sentence starters. Note, you do not need to use every single one. You can just use one per section to write the purpose, to write the procedure. Okay? Then your second paragraph is an analysis paragraph. You're going to include your data, what the results mean, and sources of error. Then you're going to have a third paragraph that's a conclusion paragraph where you summarize what we did and your results and your future thoughts or questions that you have for an experiment next time. If you remember writing a lab report discussion in biology or physics, this is the exact same structure and rubric that biology and physics uses. We use the same one because it's what scientists do, and it just makes it easier for us as teachers and, more importantly, for you as students. You'll be typing that here, okay? You'll type this here so that you can submit it to me as a rough draft so I can give you feedback. And once I give you feedback, you'll be able to revise and edit it to make a really strong discussion, which ultimately you will either handwrite in your lab notebook or print out and glue and tape into your lab notebook. So again, this is just for revising, editing rough drafts. You won't turn anything in on Google Classroom. The only thing you'll turn in is a lab notebook that will have all of this information. The only last things are a few details. In the bottom right corner here, make sure you write the page number that your lab is. This should probably be page 1 or 2 or something like that. And also use pen. Write your lab report in pen. Excellent. Now that you have these resources, it's up to you if you want to start working on your lab notebook and starting writing this stuff up, or if you want to start working on your discussion, it's up to you.